Hi, my name's Michelle. I thought I'd try a layout share today, which is going well outside my comfort zone. I have quite bad anxiety, and I did start this yesterday and couldn't continue because my partner came home, which is ridiculous because he's the most supportive person I've ever met. I do live on a working crop and sheep farm, so it's not an urban environment. I can't create silence. I'm sure you'll hear birds, you may hear the water pump, you'll probably even hear a rooster or two crowing. Enjoy the ambient noise is probably all I can really say about that. I'll start with this page of baby Cara, who's my new niece. She was born in 2019, and Cara is being held by my grandma and Cara's mum's grandma, so it's actually Cara's great grandma. This paper is from Maggie Holmes, I think it's the Confetti collection, which is actually a birthday collection paper pad. I only have the paper pad, and I'm really comfortable working with just a paper pad and no matching ephemera or stickers. I've been scrapbooking since I was 19, and you couldn't get ephemera back then. Like, it just wasn't a thing. You could get some stickers and you could get some paper, and that was about the most of it. So I mean, I've pulled a couple of stickers from a Simple Stories sticker tablet, and there's a few stickers here to spell out the title, which I've written 4th generation. It's probably really hard to see in the pastel pink. There is a little bit of dimension. I like 1mm thick foam squares or tape. I don't like the big chunky. I just think it makes it really hard to put into albums, so I try to keep that quite fine. This layout is using Heidi Swap's Colour Crush, and it's a photo of my amazing partner Vernon. We've only been together not quite 2 years. I've only lived here on his farm for a year, so I'm still adjusting. It's very different living 35 kilometres out of town. I've layered 2 papers together. I cut the chevron from one paper and layered the starburst behind it, and then I also put a strip of black down the side, which is just pieced together from scraps from a chevron. There's a join there and there's a join there. I don't mind that. No one's really going to notice but me. I've used some of the clear stickers along the side here, divided by the clear sticker hearts. I don't know why. I liked it. I found the ephemera really hard to use. There was a lot of stuff that I really like, and I'm just not sure what to do with it. As per a lot of my pages, there's some hidden journaling, which really isn't anything special. It's a rectangle of card with a piece of double-sided tape that I've left the backing on and a tab. I like hidden journaling. I do it quite a bit. To create the pocket, I simply haven't stuck down the photo mat properly. There's tape partway up the edge and along these 2 sides, and the rest is open. I don't use foam tape or a piece of cardstock or anything to help create any kind of space. I've never found the need to. This layout is of my daughter, or probably in 2012. She's nearly 17. She'll turn 17 in February, so I'm really enjoying going back and scrapping older photos of her. I've never scrapped in any kind of order. I just scrap whatever I feel at the time. And it's really nice now that she's growing up to actually go back and appreciate these photos of her when she was younger in a new way. So it also gives a really new perspective on the journaling. You know, I couldn't have told her too much more than the fact that she was ready for a dance class in these photos if I'd scrapped them immediately. But you know, now that we're talking 5-6 years down the track, I can talk to her a little bit more. I did do the journaling in gold pen on the background, which I knew at the time wasn't ideal. I didn't want to stick anything in that space. I think it would just weigh the page down. Look, it is what it is. You probably can't read it on camera. I can read it in person with effort, mind you. I'm not saying it's easy to read. The paper for this is from a discount shop in Australia called the Reject Shop, and it's, I believe, a New Zealand company, Rosie Studio, rebranded to be sold in Australia. So most of this is Rosie Studio. I think there's 2 different collections that I've used here. I think these are pink fresh letters. These really old thickers I found recently in a scrapbooking store that's about an hour from where I'm living, on a farm in the middle of nowhere. And I think the reason the store works is because she does retreats. So she has this lovely farm stay there, and you know, can bring out, oh, I would say about 20 or 30 people at a time. It was a really nice drive just to go over there and see what she had, and she has a lot of really old stock. So I didn't buy a lot, but I loved these chipboard thickers, and kind of wish she had them in other colours because they are glittery, but that's not going to stop me from trying to colour them myself, I can assure you of that. In 2017, my mum and I took my daughter Jessica, my nephew Leighton and my nephew Hayden, these are Kara's big brothers, to a water park in Perth, and my mum paid the extra for the kids to be able to meet a koala. They weren't allowed to pick it up or hold it, which is not a bad thing. Koalas really don't like being held, but they did get to touch it. I kind of had to beg the keeper to let Leighton in there. I think he thought he might be a bit rough because he was only about 18 months old at the time. And I assured him that, you know, the koala would be perfectly safe and I wouldn't let Leighton get too close, or Jessica wouldn't let Leighton get too close while I was taking photos. Hidden journaling, once again. Not for any particular reason. There's nothing, you know, private written in that journaling. It's just a note to the kids about the day and where we were and what they got to do. And it's actually using Kaisercraft Christmas collection. I can't think of the name of it. It was the 2019 Christmas collection. It can be really hard to find Australiana, and you know, when you've got gum leaves and koalas, and you don't really want to be using maple leaves or oak leaves or anything on your page. So, you know, trying to find some Australiana can be challenging, but it's so worth it when you can get it. I'm going to start by saying I love this page. It's so classically me. I was the biggest fan of Echo Park. I only ever bought their papers and their sticker sheets. I really couldn't understand what ephemera was at the time and why you'd pay $10 or $12 for a bag of ephemera. Mainly because when I started scrapbooking, that wasn't available. So to go back and use some of these older collections of photos of my daughter, with photos of my daughter, just makes me really happy. The colours are so bright and fun, which is why I loved Echo Park in the first place. This page bugs me in that the proportion is off. You know, the kite and the Ferris wheel and the butterflies and the flowers, the proportion is really bad. But I have to keep reminding myself, my daughter's not going to look at this page and go, Mum, that kite is so much bigger than the Ferris wheel. It doesn't make any sense at all. I notice it, she's not going to notice it. And the more important thing is that the story is told. You know, I mean, that, to me, that's the bigger thing. The story is told. When she looks back at these photos, she may not remember where this Ferris wheel was or why she was on it. So, you know, that little bit of journaling just gives her an idea of when and where and why. And to me, that's really important. I've got so many photos from my great-grandparents with people in them. I just don't know who they are. I couldn't tell you where any of the photos were taken. So as much as I scrapbook for me, I do scrapbook for posterity. I don't expect every page I make to last forever, but I do hope that some of them might still be appreciated in time. This page was a lot of fun, and it's going to make some people absolutely cringe because Jess and I were living in Perth briefly, and we did a bit of adventuring around Perth, and we came across this Snugglepot and Cuddlepie statue. Jess didn't know who Snugglepot and Cuddlepie were, so, you know, that was a, oh my gosh, Mum, that was a bad moment. Why hadn't I introduced her to these fabulous Australian characters before now? And about a week later, we went to the Perth Zoo, and outside the Perth Zoo was a statue, ironically, of May Gibbs. I had no idea it was there. We just happened to find it as we walked from the car park into the zoo. Now, May Gibbs is the author of Snugglepot and Cuddlepie. And the Gumnut Babies is probably, you know, a more common name. While we were in the zoo, I bought Jessica a book of Snugglepot and Cuddlepie at the gift shop. And the part that's going to make you cringe is last year for Christmas, my mum gave me some cash and I chose to spend that on kitchen supplies to go in my new house with my new partner. So I bought Gumnut Baby tea towels, and all of this is cut from the packaging of said tea towels, which really dictated how I was going to lay out my page. I mean, ideally I would have liked this juncture to, you know, be in a corner, but I couldn't have Snugglepot and Cuddlepie looking off the page in the middle of nowhere. So, you know, it wasn't ideal, but I love it. And I don't know for sure, but I do wonder if the acid-free thing matters so much now. I mean, these photos are printed on my Canon selfie. There's no chemistry involved like there was with vintage photos. We have a vintage album here at the house that belongs to my partner and his family, and sadly the glue that they've used to put the photos in there has ruined the photos. There's just massive patches of white that you can't see anything in the photo simply from the glue on the back. So, you know, is it going to last forever? Possibly not. Does it matter? Also possibly not. They're just happy snaps taken while walking around the city of Perth. They're digital. I can print them again. I can put them in regular, you know, just those pocket albums that, you know, take 6 photos per page or whatnot. But I had fun making this. I love May Gibbs. I love Snuggle Pot and Cuddle Pie. So I was really happy to cut these out and use them on a page. I could have turned to the internet. There is plenty of May Gibbs available at the National Library of Australia's website Trove. So I could have printed off some of her work from there. I'm still not really okay with that. That still feels a bit like copyright to me, whereas this is just cut from waste packaging that was going in the bin. Hidden journaling, well, it's not really hidden journaling. It's quite obvious that tag's hanging out the side there. I do need to do something about that. I don't like the way it looks. It's very cream, the background's very white. Snuggle Pot and Cuddle Pie are absolutely white. The paper in the background is Vicky Bouton. I love these mixed media papers. I love that you get 3 of them so I don't have to hoard them. And the weight, I mean, the weight of this paper is amazing. I really will cardstock. I'm not the biggest fan of this page, I will admit. I think there is a very cool cast to this photo, which really wasn't helped by that, you know, aqua colour poking out the edge there, but again, the story's told. Sometimes it's really hard for me to just go, it's done. Just walk away and leave it alone, the story's told. I date the back of my pages when they're finished, and I guarantee you the date was not added to the back of this one for about 2 weeks because I wasn't sure it was finished. I was trying really hard to use some of these Paige Evans chipboards. Chipboard is a product I've really only had in my stash for about 2 years. I was a single mum. Jessica has chronic illness, so we spent a lot of time travelling to and from Perth from my hometown. That was a 1,600 kilometre round trip. It was really taxing financially, emotionally, socially. So, you know, scrapbooking was a back burner. It was something I enjoyed as a means of relaxation, and you know, I'm sure you crafters understand it. It's just something that you have to do. You need it for your own mental health and your own sanity. But I couldn't afford the latest of everything and the best of everything. And I used to get a lot of hand-me-downs. I used to buy a lot of things at cheap shops, which wasn't always ideal. But I didn't have chipboard, and I don't really know what to do with it. I guess for me, this stuff is really thick. It's very, you know, high off the page, which I don't love at all. I don't have her collections. I have a couple of papers that I've obviously picked up when they were on sale. I have used some stickers from, you know, the page is done. It's not the worst page I've ever made. It's nothing, you know, amazing, but it's finished. And again, Jess will have an understanding of where she was, why I took the photo, and I used up some of those chipboards. Now, this is one of those pages that a lot of people find really hard, and I'll admit I have avoided them like the plague in Jessica's early life, but I'm starting to realise now that I need to get these stories told. They are so much a part of who she is and what her life has been. Again, hidden journaling. I got really clever with this one and made it look like a layer of the, you know, the page, which I was quite proud of. I haven't done something like that before, I don't quite think. It's usually with a tab or a sticker or something sticking out. Simply called Another Hospital Visit, because unfortunately when you have a child with chronic illness, you run out of titles. You spend a lot of time at the hospital. This one was just due to an allergy that reaction that she'd had to, we don't even know what. It's really hard to see because this photo is quite dark, but her lips are quite puffy. Unfortunately, this is life for her. So, you know, she often has allergic reactions to things, not severe enough to need any adrenaline, but severe enough that she's got to go to the hospital and be monitored for a few hours. So that was that story told. Again, not the biggest fan, don't love it, but it's done. By contrast, I love this page. I love everything about this page. I love the photo that I stole off my daughter's phone. She'd actually put this filter on here. I didn't do that. It matched so perfectly with Coco Vanilla's Unforgettable collection. I've just used a little bit of grey fine line pen around the outside to bring that frame in. There's a little bit of ephemera, not much. It's not even a hard page. It didn't take very long at all. I've cut around the print that was already on this page just to tuck the photo in behind, so you can see that, I've just cut around the shape of those flowers and slotted the photo in there. I do date the back of every page when it's finished. I often add extra information. Sometimes when I'm going back through albums, I'll even add extra information. So Jessica took this photo of herself while we were in Exmouth for my sister-in-law's wedding in 2019. She gave me her phone to take the photos off, and I think she wanted some photos printed for herself, and I was like, oh, I'll have one of those and one of these, and just printed a handful for me too. Baby Cara again, because she is just beautiful. I've never had a baby niece before. When I met my partner, he brought along a 19-year-old niece, so she was my very first niece. I was so excited. And then my sister was supposed to have a boy. Out came baby Cara, so that was a lot of fun. I was so excited, you couldn't believe. There's a lot of boys in our family, my cousins and stuff mostly have boys, so it was really nice to get a little girl. This is a Simple Stories collection. I don't know which one. I finally got some border punches. They were something I could never afford to buy for myself. I only have 3, I think. I'd really like to get some more. I'm finding them really hard to get hold of. They're such an old supply, or considered such an old supply now, that finding them new is almost impossible. So I was really, really pleased to use a border punch for, pretty much the first time. Again, this shape was cut from one of the pattern papers. It was stripes of the lace with florals all down the page, and I've just cut out one of those to use there. There is a bit of a doily behind. It's nothing spectacular. It's just a cute photo of me feeding Cara a bottle and her just giving me those I love you so much looks. We all know it's about the bottle, but that's fine. I'm happy with that. She's looking at me adoringly. We're good. I did warn you I was on a bit of a thing about telling Jessica's more difficult stories. So part of Jessica's chronic illness, as I mentioned, is allergy, and one of her allergy is to natural rubber latex, which means things like balloons. So Jess has a massive phobia of balloons, doesn't like, especially when little kids have them, you can't predict what a little kid is going to do with a balloon, whether they're going to throw it at you. So she's always been really scared of them. So this day, for her to hold helium balloons at probably at least her height above her head was terrifying for her. What was this, 2013? She was 10, to anybody else, to any other parent, this is normal. This is such an everyday moment. To us, this was an event. This was such a big deal. So, I don't know. That sounds ridiculous. I know, I get it. Try telling people in the shopping centres when they go to hand your child a balloon, no, she can't have that, she's allergic. And they give you these looks like, are you a crazy lady? No, unfortunately I'm not. The balloons could kill my child. But she held the balloons. I was really proud of her. I wanted to use a word that really spoke to the moment, and fortitude came to mind, and I found it really hard to put into a sentence. Fabulous word. She's going to have no idea what it means. She's going to have to use a dictionary. That's great. Like I'm teaching her something as well. But putting it in a sentence that made sense about this photo, not so easy. I have made the tiniest little bow out of tulle here to bring together, my little cluster of balloons, which were made with some chipboard and some stickers from, again, that Simple Stories collection, which I think was a Valentine's collection. You don't have to use it for Valentine's Day. I've never celebrated Valentine's Day in my life, but I loved this collection and I was going to have it. And this cardstock, you probably can't tell, is actually embossed. It's got circles embossed all over it, and I have had this paper this cardstock in my stash for, I don't know, like, I would say at least 10 years. And I hoarded it because embossed cardstock isn't always something that I could get hold of. I think I have two colours. I have this aqua teal colour and a pink. And yep, I only used that much. I have the rest, so hopefully I can get that used up a little bit more in the future. I love this Simple Stories collection. What is it called? Simply Vintage Botanicals, I think. It's really hard for me to use with these really busy stickers and ephemera. I did get, look, a chipboard. I'm really trying. I don't buy much chipboard because I really don't know what to do with it, but I am trying. Again, a really simple page. I've put some gold splatters on there. I'm not a fan of splatters, and I know that a lot of people are going to go, but what? We all use splatters. I don't like them. To me, they look like an afterthought. They look messy a lot of the time. When I do them, I'm not saying that I think that about other people's pages at all. I think that, you know, they look amazing. I actually used Marabou Art Spray in gold, which, because it's been sitting on my table, is all settled and needs shaking. It doesn't leave any residue or rings. It's not tacky at all. I love the stuff. I have heaps of Marabou Art Spray in different colours. Yeah, really quick, really simple, nothing exciting going on here, but it's just another photo of me holding Cara because I have a baby niece and I'm going to get as many cuddles in as I can. I love this page. This would have to be, if I was doing a top 10 of 2019, this would probably be number one. I tracked down this My Mind's Eye collection like you wouldn't believe. I even ordered some from the US because it was an old collection and I couldn't really get it here in Australia. And I bought everything I could. Unfortunately, I couldn't find the cardstock stickers, which I was a bit disappointed about. It's okay, I don't need them. There's all these beautiful florals within the papers that I can cut. I mean, these ones are chipboard. They were the layered stickers. This was the sticker tablet. I've been watching a lot of YouTube lately, and I think people like Kelly Barron and Cherie Forcier and even Sue's Fish, they do these really beautiful layouts on white with so much focus on the photo, so much emphasis on the beautiful products, and that's what I was sort of channeling here. These lovely pink fresh letters, and if you notice there's these tiny little flicks off the side here. They came from the centers of, I don't know, the E's or the B's or something off this sticker sheet, and they were just the perfect accent to bring that further around the page without having to add an asterisk or, I don't know, another word or something that I really just didn't want or need on the page just to help tie in these letters. There is a little bit of washi tape. There's 1, 2, 3 of them happening here. Again, scallop punch. Love me a scallop edge. These teeny tiny flowers were cut from the pattern paper, you know, matching sort of these, and again, just scattered them around to help bring some more of that color. This simple style is absolutely beautiful. I adore it. I find it really challenging to do myself. I love it. Would I adopt this style for myself? Absolutely. Could I stick to it? No. I like bright. I like busy. I'm pretty sure, yep, hidden journaling again, because, you know, it's just me. It's my thing. This was Jessica's first school dance. She's wearing a navy blue and silver dress with silver shoes, so, you know, a bit of silver. There's no navy blue on this page. I mean, this is a tealy green aquamarine type color, but there's no blue. This photo, again, was really difficult to scrap. This was taken at the celebration of life after my dad's funeral. I was wearing black, but was really uncomfortable in the dress and changed it later after the funeral itself. I forgot to put back on my blue cornflower pin for motor neuron disease. That was unfortunately what took Dad. Most of this is Heidi Swap Color Crush again. These are my best friends. Like, you know, this is my cousin. She's only 2 months older than me. We've been best friends our entire lives. This particular friend and I were born in the same town and raised together, and we didn't leave there until we were, I don't know, in our 30s. We became friends in high school. We became friends when Jessica was an infant. So, you know, like, my friendships, I'm so blessed to have such amazing long friendships. You know, I've been friends with these people, some of them for my entire life. Unfortunately, there are a few friends missing from this photo that I really would have liked to have had in it. They simply couldn't make it to my dad's funeral. One day, hopefully one day, I have an event or a reason for us all to come together and to get, you know, that elusive photo of me with all my friends. So this is my little nephew Leighton, there's Jessica, and this is, I call Thompson my nephew. He's my friend Kaz's little boy. He's adorable. The cornflower, I found Alexandra Renke paper that was just covered in cornflowers. It was circles of cornflowers all over. I bought everything that particular online store had. I've given some to my mum because I know that she too will scrapbook about my dad's motor neuron disease story. I would love to give credit where credit is due. I can think of the lady, but I can't think of her name right now. And she does these lovely borders with brush pens and just very, very lightly drags the brush pen and, you know, changes the pressure, which gives all this difference in thickness of the strokes. So I really liked that, and I thought I would try it out. I was terrified. I did try it on scrap paper first. I thought I'd muck it up and ruin my page, but I didn't. So this simply says a few of my favorites. Favorite is one of those words in the American scrapbooking world that misses you. I can't use it. That's spelt wrong. That's not how we spell it. I really like this page too. Gosh, I think a Kmart 6x6 paper pad that, I don't know, I picked up for next to nothing. These papers are from a Die Cuts with a View paper pad. Really lovely coppery accents on it. These chipboard letters were, I don't know, Doodlebug. Again, I found those at the scrapbook store in the middle of nowhere. Must admit, I struggled with lowercase capital, you know, lowercase. Yeah, that really messed with my head. But not only that, then they're all different heights. So for me to stick this down was really hard because I wasn't convinced. I love it now, but at the time I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't use that. It doesn't, the heights and the mix of case, I couldn't handle it. It really didn't work. These letters were gold. I have rose gold, and I know rose gold and copper aren't quite the same thing, but I did mean to pull out the other stickers and some reason stuck those down and then went, oh wait, that doesn't really work because we've got all this, you know, red, yellow sort of clash going on here. So I actually got my Uniball Signo pen in copper, which wouldn't write. The you know, those Uniball Signo pens, quite often the tips fail, and it had been like that since the moment I bought it. I couldn't, and I thought I'd rescue it. So I read online somewhere that if you took the center out of the pen and took off this bit, you could clear the nib. So I tried that, and I had this stood upright in amongst some washi tape, actually, just standing on my desk. But unfortunately, I guess this is a sealed unit, and once that came off, apparently that slipped out and the copper ink went all over my desk. Thankfully contained within the ring of the washi tape, but still all over my desk. So I got out a mini paintbrush and I simply painted a couple of coats onto these letters. It's stuck fairly well, given that, you know, it's only pen. And then I think somewhere along, my niece, my 19-year-old niece last Christmas gave me another scrapbooking set from Kmart that had an album and things like that in. So I've used some of the rhinestones. I mean, who doesn't have a bazillion rhinestones from a few years ago when they were the product to have? I have so many that I never pull out anymore. There were a couple of flowers that came in this chipboard letter set, so I've tucked them in there. These flowers were cut from the second wreath because, you know, most 6x6 paper pads have 2 of each. So I cut those out and stuck them down. And this tag was on one of the papers out of that same, I think it was this same Die Cuts with a View paper pad. It's got like a marbled effect on it, mate. So this is again the Maggie Holmes confetti collection. I have actually used it for a birthday, go figure. I think again a lot of these elements, most of these elements were cut from the paper pad itself, because again I only have the paper pad, I don't have any ephemera. I know that the bows came from one of the American Crafts hashtag sticker books, which I think was the Maggie Holmes one. The Sweet 16 letters, they're foam thickers. The pink was too pink. It didn't really work with the page, so I got some Tim Holtz Distress ink in, I don't know, mustard seed or something, and just dabbed it with a finger, not even any kind of tool, it just took the edge off of it, gave it more of that orangey tone, which I really liked. I mean, there's quite a bit of that coral colour happening in here. I made this cake for Jessica. Cake decorating is one of the other hobbies I have, along with sewing and lace making, and oh, I don't know, there's so many of them. I go through spurts of what I will and won't do. So right now I'm on the scrapbooking kick. Just in case you can't see that whole page, I will just bring this in. So yeah, it's just some photos of Jessica's birthday. Like, this was on. I had a lot of fun making this. I'm not afraid of colour. I'm sure you've seen that throughout, you know, some of these layouts. I don't mind using black at all. This is a photo of Hayden when Hayden was quite little. What are we at, 2013? Hayden was probably only 5, I think. I don't know. It was just one of those snaps taken. My daughter was doing swimming lessons. We were waiting for her. Nothing important. This background paper and some of these elements were from, I'm going to muck this up. I want to say Studio Light. It's a really, really grungy sort of collection that I did buy with the boys in mind, because I find I'm very, very much drawn to the girly stuff. And then when I go to scrapbook my nephews, I'm like, what am I going to use for this? So I also pulled out these really old, oh my gosh, they're so old, stickers and chipboards from, does it really matter? You're not going to be able to get them anymore, but they're old. I love them. I love the grungy look. I've never used them. I don't know why, but now I have, so that's great. I'm never going to use up my stash ever. Like, it's never going to be gone, but to use up things that I've had for a long time makes me really happy. This layout came about because I have a Maggie Holmes open book chipboard sheet, and again, I just want to try and use up some of this chipboard. I find it really difficult to work with. So we're back to the confetti collection for the papers. I think that wood grain is also from that paper pad. I started this with a completely different photo in mind, and I got partway through it and realized that photo wasn't working. And then I remembered that I had this top, and I knew that someone somewhere had taken a photo of me where, I think it might have been Jessica actually, had taken a photo of me holding my camera, which was what the other photo was going to be about anyway. It was me with my camera in my hand. I don't make a lot of scrapbook layouts about me, because more often than not I'm not in them. So that's actually a theme across some of these scrapbooks pages I'm showing you. I am trying to get myself into them a bit more. So it's not flattering. My eyes are closed. I've got a weird look on my face. I was probably issuing Jessica instructions about something, because this photo was taken in 2012, so she was all of 9. This little it's a laser cut chipboard from Scrapiniec, which is a Polish store. A really lovely gold puffy alphas here. These ones underneath are vinyl. They came, I bought myself like a juice cup, and you could screw open the cup and stick something around, you know, the cup and screw it back together. It was clear and you could read it, but they only gave you one of each letter of the alphabet. I don't know what kind of word I was going to come up with, like love or hugs or smile, or I don't know, something really cliche. So I put them straight in my scrapbooking stash. I was never ever going to use them in the cup. The book has nothing to do with this. Probably looks a bit out of place. I don't really care. I was never going to use this woman, so to get her on a page is great. Look, my hair's tied back. We both have glasses. She's holding a camera. Sweet. She's on the page. It's used. That's kind of all I have to say about that. Again, trying to get some stories told that include me. These photos are really old. I don't think I actually pulled out the date, because the phone that these were on got corrupted and the dates aren't accurate. I don't know why. When I managed to salvage the data, the dates were really messed up. So The denim look paper is from Kaisercraft. It's got some really awful bicycles on the back. I don't know why so many creators put bicycles on their products. I have some gold stickers in the corners, again from one of those hashtag sticker books. I'm thinking Jen Hadfield, same with the gold leaves. This floral was cut from another one of the Kaisercraft papers that actually went in the same collection. I bought, I guess you'd call it a warehouse box from Kaisercraft, and got a whole heap of papers. What I didn't realize was they're going to send me so many of the same papers, so I have heaps of this to use. I did use some enamel dots. This will be the first time you've seen enamel dots on my layouts today. I find those really difficult to use. I don't know why, because I always use rhinestones and the pearls without a problem. I think I just overthink it. I've done some journaling in gold pen. It's not the easiest thing to read, but you know, it's there. And I think these word stickers are Happiness Collection Cocoa Vanilla. So I love Cocoa Vanilla. They're absolutely my favorite, and it certainly helps that they're Australian and I'm supporting an Australian business and Cocoa Vanilla. So we had a Black Friday sale from Cocoa Vanilla, which is brilliant. I love a sale, but this is Australia and we don't have Black Friday. So I was a bit miffed that all these stores were having Black Friday sales, but I made the most of it and bought a whole heap of Cocoa Vanilla, super, super cheap. So I didn't have the Boys Rule collection. I'd gone off scrapbooking for a few years and certainly didn't buy anything for a few years. So I missed out on a lot of really great stuff, and I've been collecting some of that back up again now. And it's really, really hard to tell, but we're at the swimming pool and this board is 3 meters off the ground, and here is Hayden. He finally got the courage to jump. He came and asked me if he could have a go off the normal diving board, and I said, yep, sure, no worries. And then he came and asked if he could jump off the high board, and I honestly thought he would get to the end of it and chicken out, and he nearly did. You know, he paused, and had all these other kids not been doing it, I don't think he would have done it, but he did, and I was so proud of him. And this was only last summer. The boys come and spend quite a bit of time with us here at the farm, which is really nice. So this was a really, really fun layout. I did stick this down back to front. I had intended for the wider side to be over here, so it sort of balanced out that this was the narrower side. It didn't work out that way. If I hadn't pointed it out, would you have even noticed? So, you know, it's one of those things like, it's done, just leave it alone, it's fine. So we're back to the sort of, you know, the whole Kelly Barron inspiration thing. I love her stuff. I realised that she was going through a really hard time in her life. I do hope she comes back to YouTube when things settle down for her. Again, this is a really unflattering photo of me in my pajamas dropping my daughter off at the school bus. Because we live on a farm, I do have to drive her 3.5 kilometres from the house, and we sit in the car and wait for the school bus, and she gets out and jumps on the bus, and then I have to go back in the afternoon and, you know, do the reverse, wait for her and pick her up. So this was her last day of school for 2019. This is a Cocoa Vanilla collection that again I bought in that Black Friday sale. It was a birthday collection. I can't make a wish, maybe. And I used it because my daughter's uniform is green and yellow. So I was really struggling with, you know, matching up a collection to it. I didn't want to convert the photos to black and white. So the greens and the yellows in this really worked. I liked the pop of pink. I think these stickers might be Kaisercraft. There's some black dotted or polka dot washi tape on there. These teeny tiny stickers are definitely Kaisercraft. I got those also over at that scrapbooking store on the farm in the middle of absolutely nowhere. Would I usually have scrapbooked these photos? Probably not. Can I explain why I did this time? No, not really. Just that's how I roll. I just do what I feel like doing at the time. These photos make me laugh. Before we moved to the farm, I was coming to visit quite regularly, and Jessica didn't always want to come with me. And I was at the farm one day and she texted me through these photos of her, and I think all she'd said was, I found my overalls and a checkered shirt. And I'm like, oh my gosh, all you need now is plaited pigtails. So she put her hair up in pigtails. There's no plaits, but I had to laugh because to me it just screamed country bumpkin, like, hey mum, I'm ready to move to the farm. Rosie's Studio, bought at the reject shop, paper, stickers, die cuts, again, very, very cheap. The letters are also from that same Rosie Studio collection. I stuck them on white and cut out most of it. I didn't cut out all of it. I was really scared of tearing it. Like, some of this has gotten really, really fine, and you know, they're just joined by the tiniest little bits, and it was getting a bit fragile. So I figured if I tried to get in there with an X-Acto knife or something like that, I would just stuff it. And I really, really didn't want to muck it up. The fox, as much as you might think a fox has nothing to do with this page, A, I think it's adorable, and B, you would be surprised at how many foxes we have around here. I mean, so often when you're driving at night, up the road to the farm or up the road back to the main road, you see foxes. They're everywhere. So obviously this is my nephews and my niece, Hayden, Leighton and Cara, and this was just after Cara came home from hospital. She spent the first 3 weeks of her life in hospital. So she finally come home, and my sister had texted me this beautiful photo, and it's been sitting there waiting to be scrapped. Now, for Christmas, Jessica gave me these stickers, and I really wanted to try and get them used. So she actually gave me 2 packets of these, and within those 2 packets is 2 sheets. So I took those sheets and I put the strips of stickers onto some white card and then cut them out. I did that to give them some depth, otherwise it would be a really, I mean, it is a really flat layout, don't get me wrong, but there's just something about sticking it on white card that makes it stand out a bit. I didn't use everything. You can see I've used, you know, I took a lot of these littler ones and stuck them on the card as well, but I didn't actually use them on the page, and that's fine. And I interspersed with washi, so washi there, the gold, and then back to the hearts and the peachy coral colour. The XO, so sweet, and this label and this tiny little tag came off of a sticker sheet. I might have been My Mind's Eye, but it was one of those sticker sheets that was cut wrong. You know when they've got the you know where the cut is actually off where it needs to be. So I did have to cut out the So Sweet. It was on a fishtail banner, I think. And I don't mind. I mean, it looks better like this than it did with it being all wonky on the banner. And I actually did some stamping. I couldn't tell you who these stamps were by. I think these ones are Stampin' Up, maybe. It was a birthday set. It had this lovely doily, so I stamped it with Versamark ink and embossed it in white. And this one I stamped with Versamark ink and embossed it in gold. And you can't really see, but there is a little row of hearts, which I also stamped in Versamark ink and embossed in gold. So that draws a bit of gold around the page. I'm not sure I'm finished with this page. Look, I loved it. Oh, you know, like when it was just this bit and the title, I really, really liked it. It's using a Simple Stories summer collection that, like, I love summer collections because they're often the ones that have all the really bright, happy, fun colours. But I look at this collection with its watermelons and things and I think, oh my gosh, why did I buy this? So I started with my Canon selfie printer. Will layer up your photos like this into film strips, so you actually get 2 of them, and I only used 1. I might use the other one in like my traveler's notebook, or, you know, give it away, give it to Jessica, it doesn't really matter. And again with, you know, Kelly Barron and Sue's Fish and all those ladies, Mandy Melville, they all do these really lovely layers. And I, you know, given that I've been scrapbooking for so long, you basically matted a photo with a perfect mat around the outside, perhaps 2 perfect mats around the outside, and that was it. That was all you did. So, you know, some of this is still trying to get outside my comfort zone. And I really, really liked it. And, you know, what are these? American Crafts, just regular stickers. They're not thickers or puffy at all. So Take the Plunge, I cut from one of these Simple Stories sticker tablets, you know, in the phrase stickers. So I don't know, I can't remember what it said. Like, anyway, I just cut the out of the middle of it and put the other stickers back on the sheet. The little splashes were also cut from one of the cut apart sheets. That little banner sticker came from the sticker tablet, and I cut some of. I really don't like how much white a lot of stickers have around the outside, so I cut that off. And I got to use my scallop punch again. Can you see how limited I am with, you know, just the scallop punch? I'd really like to get one that has bigger scallops, because as much as I love these, bigger would be great. So Jessica too, just Boxing Day 2019, decided that she was going to jump from the high board, and I waited and waited and waited like you wouldn't believe, because my mum is standing at the back of it here, and Jessica would walk out and she'd have a bit of a look, and at first she wasn't even walking to the end of it, and then she'd go back and she'd stand there for a while, and someone else would climb up and jump, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this kid's just blocking up the high board and she's never going to jump. Well, eventually she did, and obviously I didn't get that first one on camera. I didn't get any photos of that, but she went and did it again, and you know, wanted me to take a photo, so I thought I'd scrapbook it. And even after I added this strip at the side, you know, I really wasn't convinced about this strip. Well, then I went and added the journaling, and I used this pen, and it's a lovely, lovely, lovely pen. It's a Uniball Signo Impact 207. It writes really nicely, but it's actually quite thick, and I wish, if anything, I'd used a finer pen. But again, with the stories told, it really, really doesn't matter. I probably should do something about a border or a mat around this page to help bring it in, but I'm not sure I want to. I think I quite like it like that, with it just being across the middle. It's very different to most of what I usually do, but I mean, that if I don't embrace the new, am I ever going to try a new thing? And this is the last layout I have to share today. This is the last one I did. I finished this on, I can't read it, the 30th of the 12th, so the day before Christmas, the day before New Year's Eve. Again, Cocoa Vanilla. Is it Love Always? I really, really liked the wreath. I've done a few wreaths lately. They seem to be, you know, sort of popular in scrapbooking at the moment. I did sew around the outside, and I did lightly draw a circle on there with pencil and then sewed, but I actually used upholstery thread. It's quite a lot thicker than regular sewing thread, so it gives a very different look. And it's only three circles that I've stitched, and it stands out really quite nicely. And then obviously the ephemera from the same kit. The flare is not from Love Always, it's from, I don't know, one of the other Cocoa Vanilla sets. I don't have that much flare. If you think I find chipboard hard to use, I find flare impossible to use. To me, that looks like it's sitting there in the middle of nowhere with no purpose whatsoever, but I got it on the page, it's fine, it really doesn't matter. I also use that same embroidery thread to do these little loops. Basically all I did was wrap thread around 2 fingers and then 1 finger, and just sort of give some different sizes. And once I wriggled it off my finger, which I'm doing a really bad job of at the moment, I pinched the ends together. That was it. Because I like that loopy look sticking out more than I like just a coil of thread. And to secure it, I quite literally wrapped some double-sided tape around it and used the double-sided tape to adhere it. Really, really simple. I like the effect it gives. I did slip a tag in here, again with some hidden journaling on the back. Doesn't say anything interesting, it was just where and when this photo was taken. We were at Vernon's nephew's 18th birthday party. We went out for dinner. It's a really, really bad photo. The light was really bad. There was actually a massive light over here behind us, and then it was just really dark, so it's a really, really grainy photo, but the story's told. And you know, digital photos, if I wasn't scrapbooking them, would I even print them? So to have them printed and a story to go with it, at least where and when, I mean, to me, that's what matters. So thank you for joining me in my layout share today. I know it's nothing new, it's nothing you wouldn't have seen from other people before. I found YouTube maybe 18 months ago. If you told me prior to that I'd enjoy watching other people scrapbook, I would have laughed at you. But they, as much as I interact with them, they never get to see anything that I've made. So I thought maybe it'd be nice to do a bit of a layout share. This was only November to December 2019. There are plenty of other layouts I've completed throughout the year and, you know, further on. But I thought if I just showed those last 2 months, it would give some people an idea. And it's forcing me outside my comfort zone. So, as I said at the beginning, I'm not comfortable with making this video. I have no idea how to edit it. Don't know if it's ever actually going to get uploaded to YouTube, but it's a start and we'll see. So thank you for joining me today. Thank you for sitting through this. I'm sure it was a really long video. I can't actually see right now because obviously my phone's up there and, you know, the time counter's on there. So happy 2020, enjoy the new year, and I really enjoy seeing other people's scrapbooking videos. So if you have a channel and you want to leave, a comment below and tell me that, I'd love to check it out. Thank you so much for joining me.